Imagine being born into a world of uncertainty, with no expectation of ever becoming a monarch, only to one day ascend the throne and rule for over 7 decades. Imagine leading a nation through war, political upheaval, family scandals, and global transformations, yet remaining a steady, unshakable symbol of unity for millions. That was the life of Queen Elizabeth II. But how did a shy young girl, never meant to be queen, become the longest reigning monarch in British history? And what truly happened in her final years before her passing in 2022? Stay with me as we uncover the incredible journey of Queen Elizabeth II from her birth to her death. Early life. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor was born on April 21, 1926, in Mayfair, London. She was the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, who would later become King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. At the time of her birth, she wasn't expected to ever become queen. She was third in line to the throne, behind her uncle, Edward, Prince of Wales, and her father. Elizabeth enjoyed a relatively quiet childhood. She was known as Lilibet by her close family, a nickname that stuck throughout her life. Even as a young girl, she displayed a remarkable sense of responsibility, seriousness, and dedication. She was privately educated at home alongside her younger sister, Princess Margaret. Tutors noticed her sharp memory, keen interest in history, and a natural leadership quality. Still, her life seemed destined for royal service, not rule. The abdication crisis. Everything changed in 1936 when King George V died and Elizabeth's uncle, Edward VIII, became king. However, his reign lasted less than a year. Edward abdicated the throne to Mary Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, a scandal that shook the monarchy to its core. Suddenly, Elizabeth's father became King George VI, and young Elizabeth became the heir presumptive. At just 10 years old, her life path changed forever. She would one day be queen. Wartime princess. The outbreak of World War II tested the strength of Britain and its royal family. Elizabeth, just a teenager, insisted on playing her part. In 1940, at age 14, she delivered her first public radio broadcast to reassure children evacuated from cities. Later in the war, she joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, training as a driver and mechanic, the only female member of the royal family to serve in the armed forces. These moments cemented her connection with ordinary citizens, showing she was willing to stand alongside her people in difficult times. Marriage and motherhood. In 1947, at just 21 years old, Elizabeth married Philip Mountbatten, a Greek-born prince of Danish and German descent. Their marriage was both a love story and a partnership that lasted more than 70 years, until Philip's death in 2021. The couple welcomed 4 children: Charles, born 1948, and born 1950, Andrew, born 1960, Edward, born 1964. For a brief time, Elizabeth lived the life of a naval officer's wife, while Philip served in the Royal Navy. But her destiny was already closing in. In early 1952, Elizabeth and Philip were on a royal tour of Kenya when devastating news reached them. Her father, King George VI, had died at the age of 56. Elizabeth, just 25 years old, was now queen. Her coronation in 1953 was a historic moment, broadcast on television to millions across the globe, a revolutionary step that brought the monarchy closer to the public. From the very beginning, she declared her life would be dedicated to serving her people. Navigating political change. Queen Elizabeth II became a constant figure in a rapidly changing world. During her reign, she worked with 15 British prime ministers, from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss. She witnessed decolonization, the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the rise of the European Union, and Brexit. Her role was constitutional rather than political, but her presence symbolized stability during times of upheaval. The Commonwealth. Elizabeth was passionate about the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of countries, many of which were former colonies of the British Empire. Under her leadership, the Commonwealth expanded to over 50 member states, and she became a unifying figure across cultures and continents. Family scandals and struggles. Despite her dignified public image, Elizabeth's personal life was often marred by family troubles. In 1992, a year she famously called her annus horribilis, 3 of her children's marriages collapsed: Charles and Diana, Andrew and Sarah, and Mark Phillips. That same year, Windsor Castle suffered a devastating fire. The death of Princess Diana in 1997 sparked one of the most difficult moments of Elizabeth's reign. Her initial silence drew criticism, but her later televised address and presence at Diana's funeral helped restore public trust. In later years, the monarchy faced new controversies, including Prince Andrew's scandal and Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties. Through it all, Elizabeth remained calm, stoic, and unyielding, embodying continuity even in chaos. Personal traits and legacy. The Queen was admired for her discipline, sense of duty, and subtle wit. She loved horses, corgis, and the countryside. Despite her reserved demeanor, those close to her described her as warm, sharp, and with a dry sense of humor. Her reign broke records. She became not only the longest reigning monarch in British history, but also one of the most respected global figures of the 20th and 21st centuries. The final years. The Queen's health began declining in the last few years of her life. The death of Prince Philip in April 2021, after more than 7 decades of marriage, was a profound loss for her. Yet she continued her duties, appearing in public whenever possible. In 2022, the nation celebrated her Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years on the throne. It was an extraordinary milestone, celebrated with parades, concerts, and tributes. But just months later, her health visibly worsened. Death of Queen Elizabeth II. On September 8, 2022, the world received the news that Queen Elizabeth II had died peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland at the age of 96. Her death marked the end of an era. For many, she was the only monarch they had ever known. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace, mourning and laying flowers in silence. World leaders paid tribute to her life of service, calling her a figure of stability, dignity, and devotion. Her eldest son immediately became King Charles III, beginning a new chapter for the British monarchy. The global impact. Elizabeth's death was more than the passing of a monarch. It symbolized the closing of the 20th century's last great reign. She had been a constant through wars, social change, political upheavals, and cultural revolutions. Her presence spanned generations, shaping the identity of Britain and the Commonwealth. For 70 years, she stood as a living reminder of tradition, resilience, and continuity. From a little girl who never expected to be queen to becoming one of the most iconic figures in modern history, Queen Elizabeth II's story is one of destiny, duty, and devotion. She was not only a monarch, but also a witness to history, a guiding hand in uncertain times, and a symbol of endurance across the world. Her reign was not free of controversy, yet her ability to remain steadfast and composed earned her a place in history that few can match. The life and death of Queen Elizabeth II remind us of the power of service, the weight of duty, and the legacy of a woman who, through it all, never wavered. If you found this journey through the life of Queen Elizabeth II fascinating, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with others who appreciate history, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the lives of influential figures. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to light.